Back to our channel. Now we are going to start the gluteal region, surface landmarks and also introduction. So if you see the gluteal region, it mainly forms a prominence at the upper posterior part of the lower limb. So this two prominence is mainly due to the gluteus maximus muscle, which is the largest muscle of this region, which is indirectly extending till the tibia bone so that it can act simultaneously on both the hip and knee joints. So this main prominence is mainly due to the largest muscle of the back, that is the gluteus maximus. So coming to the ischial tuberosity, if you see on which a person will sit, it underlies this muscle. So why we are having this much fat on backside? That is mainly because of you sit on the ischial tuberosity. So to protect the ischium bone, or you can say the hip bone, this much fat by the gluteus maximus muscle is present to cover it. Okay. So the gateway to the gluteal region is the greater sciatic notch, that is the thickest nerve of the body. So about everything we'll discuss in next videos in detail. So this is just an introduction and surface landmark part. So the thickest nerve of the body is sciatic nerve, which also lies beneath this huge anti-gravity postural muscle. One neuromuscular bundle formed by pudendal nerve and vessels appear into the gluteal region from greater sciatic notch to disappear fast through the lesser sciatic notch to supply anything and everything in the region of perineum. So this is our introduction. So you might have understood that the sciatic nerve is a greatest and widest, thickest nerve of the body. So gluteal region, if you see, it overlies the side and back of the pelvis. It is extending from the iliac crest. You can see the point here, L2. It's mentioned here, L3 spine. Okay. Here lies iliac crest. This dotted line you can see, that is the level of the iliac crest. So this gluteal region is starting from the level of the iliac crest and it is above to the gluteal fold below. So this is the gluteal fold below. So till here this is all called as the gluteal region. Okay. And the lower part of gluteal region, which persists as a rounded bulge due to excessive amount of subcutaneous fat, is known as buttock or natis. So this area where there is excessive fat is called buttock or natis. Okay. So the anterior superior part of the region is seen in a side view is called hip. So if the same thing, if you see from side, then it is called as hip. From back, if you see this heavy fat region is buttock. Okay. And the muscles, nerves and vessels emerging from pelvis are covered by gluteus maximus and buttock. Actually, if you cut the section, if you remove the gluteus maximus, then you see many nerves and vessels. Okay. So morphologically, the erect posture of man has led to extension at the hip and appreciation of this gluteal fold, which is a transverse skin crease of hip joint. This puts greater responsibility on gluteus maximum, which make body erect and maintains an erect posture at the hip, and this also involves raising and supporting the trunk against gravity. The gluteus maximus is covering the hip joint and therefore one of the most powerful, bulkiest muscle in the man. Okay. Coming to the surface landmarks, this is very important. First, what is buttock? You can see the buttock is a rounded bulge in the lower part of gluteal region. There are two buttocks which are separated from each other by a posterior median line and by the natal cleft. So the posterior median line is nothing but is a natal cleft. You can see this, it's mentioned as natal cleft. Okay. So this natal cleft begins at the third sacral spine at the S3 level. This is S2, right? So it begins here, exactly here. It begins at the S3 spine and deepens inferiorly. The gluteal fold marks the lower limit of the buttock. So this is the gluteal fold. This marks the lower level of the buttocks. Okay. And note that the gluteal fold is transverse skin crease of the hip joint and it does not correspond to lower border of gluteus maximum, which crosses the fold obliquely downwards and laterally. Everyone thinks that the gluteal fold is the region where the gluteus maximum ends, but but it not. The gluteus maximum extends from this and it will also end up to here. But this is just a fold to represent the end of buttock area. So now coming to the ischial tuberosity. Here you can see this is a ischial tuberosity landmark. So ischial tuberosity's large bony prominence lies deep to the lower border of gluteus maximus. From the medial plane, it is 5 centimeters and about the same distance above the gluteal fold. So it can be felt by placing the fingers. If you place the fingers, you can feel it. So it can be felt by placing the fingers in the medial part of gluteal fold and passing them upwards. Okay. And next, coming to greater trochanter of femur. This is the tip of greater trochanter of femur It is a bony prominence situated in front of hollow on side of hip about a hand breadth below the tubercle of iliac crest. So this iliac crest, so just below it you can see it is a tip of greater trochanter. Next, coming to the iliac crest, the iliac crest is thick curved bony ridge felt in groove in lower margin of waist. The hands spanning the waist are often supported by iliac crest. The highest point of iliac crest corresponds to interval between the spines of third and fourth lumbar vertebrae. So its highest point is between the spines of third and fourth lumbar vertebrae, somewhere over here, right? And fourth lumbar vertebrae at the site of lumbar puncture. So actually fourth lumbar vertebrae here also there is a site of lumbar puncture is also here. Next, coming to anterior end of iliac crest. This side is anterior end. This is a posterior superior iliac spine, means this is the anterior end. The anterior end of iliac crest is known as anterior superior iliac spine, right? The line drawn from here. So from the anterior superior iliac spine we start drawing a line from here in the front of greater trochanter. So where is the front of greater trochanter? Here. So till here we will draw a line in front of greater trochanter and also in front of thigh. Okay, so the posterior end of iliac crest is known as posterior superior iliac spine, and it lies in the floor of dimple about 5 centimeters from medial plane and at the level of second sacral spine opposite to the middle of sacroiliac line. Okay, this is the sacroiliac line, so in middle of it you will find the posterior superior iliac spine, right? So next, coming to the sacrum. This middle part is the sacrum, lies posterior between the two hip bones. The upper three sacral spines are usually palpable in medial plane. The sacral spine lying between the two posterior superior iliac spine is a guide to other two sacral spines. Okay, the lower part of sacrum and coccyx lie in the floor of natal cleft. So here you can see the tip of the coccyx can be felt in the natal cleft above. Okay, here. Next, coming to coccyx, of course we're talking about coccyx, tip of coccyx just behind the anus. It's slightly mobile under pressure. Next, coming to sacrotuberous ligament, okay, that is lying deep to lower border of gluteus major. In the lower border you will find the sacrotuberous ligament, which can be felt by firm pressure between lower part of sacrum and ischial tuberosity. So in the lower part of sacrum and ischial tuberosity, here so ischial tuberosity has a sacrum, so somewhere over here if you put the deep pressure and you can feel that sacrotuberous ligament. So these are all the surface landmarks of gluteal region. Next we'll start with the superficial fascia.